Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Robert Paris and John Vias, Peter Brown with the weather, Matt DiMarzio with sports, and Maddie Shipka with the community calendar. Thank you for joining us. In the wake of a series of upwards of 40 fires caused by gas explosions in Lawrence, Andover, and North Andover that sent at least 18 people to the hospital and killed one man, many people are eyeing their own gas connections to their homes. The official cause of the event has not yet been determined, but many experts are saying the most likely culprit is too much pressure in the residential systems or a leak in the system that might have followed water pipes and sewer pipes into homes. We reached out to Burlington Department of Public Works Director John Sanchez, who told BNews that in Burlington, the town and its gas supplier, Eversource, not Columbia, do an annual survey of the gas system in town. He said they categorize all discovered leaks as high, mid, and low priority, and the high priority leaks are repaired immediately. The mid priority ones are put on a schedule for repair. Low priority leaks, he said, can linger for a while due to funding. The responsibility to fix the leaks lies with Eversource and not the town. Eversource said in a statement it works closely with industry and government agencies to ensure service and safety of its 2.2 million miles of pipelines and mains. The company said, quote, "We work with emergency responders, state and local agencies to prevent and prepare for emergencies through training and periodic drills. These exercises test procedures, logistics, communications, and more. Emergency plans and procedures are periodically updated and made available to state authorities." Eversource added that if you smell gas, you should move to a safe location and call them at 800-592-2000 to report the issue. Do not use electrical appliances, including telephones, cell phones, appliances, or flashlights while in the area of the smell of gas. One more note, the Burlington Police Department shared on social media that officials in Lawrence are reporting a scam in relation to the gas explosions. Scammers posing as representatives of a firefighters association are attempting to use the tragedy to fraudulently solicit donations. If you receive such a call, just hang up. Amazing what people do to take advantage of such a traumatic experience. The final tally of the school department's FY18 budget deficit the town meeting will be asked to vote to cover has been determined. During this week's school committee meeting, Superintendent Eric Conti informed the committee that the department has $699,926 in unpaid invoices and owed money to 338 vendors. A warrant article to cover these funds will be before the town meeting, and due to the unique nature of the situation, prior year's expenses, will require a 9/10 vote of the membership. There are three possible sources for the funds: the stabilization account, raising the FY19 tax levy, or by removing the funds from the current school budgets. School leaders, along with town accountant Paul Sagarino, are strongly suggesting using stabilization, as removing funds from the FY19 school budget would have an adverse effect on school employees and ultimately students and might end up in the same condition next year. Conti said there will also be a thorough review by town auditor Powers and Sullivan, and that there are new policies and procedures being put in place to ensure there are no future deficits. The deficit itself, he said, was largely attributed to a higher than expected number of substitute teachers required to fill in for teachers out on maternity and fraternity leave and overspending on tutors. There were also vacation buyouts from retiring employees and personnel settlements. There is also a warrant article calling for a full audit of the school department's financial accounts, including operating expenses, revolving accounts, and capital expenditures. The article was submitted by a group of town meeting members, and support for it has garnered over 400 signatures on a petition submitted to the town clerk's office. One of the proponents, Eileen Sickler, spoke at the meeting about why she believes it is a necessary step.
These registered voters, they have a lack of patience at this point over a culmination of financial missteps over the last 12 months or so. They're also looking for accountability and responsibility. So in a nutshell, we want the facts of why, when, and how, improved internal controls, confidence in the FY19 budget and all the other subsequent and related reporting, also to show accountability and responsibility. And lastly, and I really think this is as important, if not more important, is that we want to have trust and confidence in your fiduciary responsibility, in addition to you providing the best education possible for our children.
The Burlington Police Department is asking the public's assistance in identifying a woman who allegedly stole credit cards and subsequently used them to make thousands of dollars in purchases. The police information site maskedmostwanted.org posted the surveillance photos seen here of the suspect. According to police, the woman allegedly stole a victim's purse from a grocery cart at the Burlington Wegmans on August 12th. The suspect then allegedly fraudulently used 2 credit cards from the wallet at several stores in Burlington Mall to make $5,300 in purchases. The suspect is described as a female with medium complexion, medium build, and short stature. Anyone with information on the suspect is asked to call the Burlington Police Department, 781-272-1212. There was a gathering of Burlington firefighters, police officers, town employees, and residents on Tuesday to mark the 17th anniversary of the attacks of September 11, 2001. BNEWS Director Rich Hosford was there and files this report.
Burlington firefighters, police officers, town employees, and residents gathered on the town common on Tuesday to remember the victims of the attacks of September 11, 2001, and to pay respect to the brave first responders who made the ultimate sacrifice attempting to rescue people from the smoldering World Trade Center and Pentagon on that tragic and painful day that so deeply touched all Americans. They also paid homage to the local victims that are forever remembered with a memorial on the town common at the base of the American flag that was raised to half-mast. Town leaders explained why, even 17 years after the attacks, it is important to remember that Tuesday in 2001 and all those that were lost.
I mean, September 11th affected us all. I can remember it, even though it was 17 years ago, I remember it as like it was yesterday. Beautiful sunny day. I'll never forget, I went down to a local barbershop, got my hair cut, and by the time I came home, I saw what was going on the TV, and like every other American, I was glued to the TV for the remainder of the day. So, you know, public safety, it's a real important date. As I mentioned in this ceremony, we lost a great number of our members, both police and fire. We really feel strong about doing a dedication ceremony every September 11th.
I think it's important that we remember because so many people were affected. We're not talking about just the brave souls that we honored here today, the public service personnel. A lot of innocent souls were killed. People died after the fact, as you heard here also today. Plus all the people who were connected to somebody somehow. It's important to remember them and that this moment not pass, because it was a defining moment like Pearl Harbor for that generation of people, to remember what was done to us.
I mean, obviously that day was horrific, and just it's important to remember it because of the innocent lives that were lost, but also the responders that made the ultimate sacrifice, the firefighters, the police officers. You know, it's just, we should remember it. It was, you know, one of the most horrific days in our history, in our nation's history. So it's important to remember the sacrifices that were made and, again, the lives that were lost.
The ceremony was brief but full of meaning. For starters, it was done in front of the town's 9/11 memorial that features 2 train rails from the subway under the World Trade Center. There was also a tolling of the bell, a traditional act done in the wake of the passing of a firefighter.
Tolling of the bells is something that we do in the fire service. It means, you know, coming home. At the end of every alarm, we call, the shift command will say, you know, strike the box out or all out. Signifies the end of the call. In the fire service, when we have a loss of life, this is typically done where we toll the bells, and its significance that the firefighter is going home.
Finally, with nearly 2 decades passed since the event, it is important for those who lived through it to keep the memory alive for the younger generation.
We need to keep this memory alive because I've got guys working in the fire department right now that were little kids and, you know, 4, 5, 6 years old at the time when this happened. And they don't have the physical connection that our older guys do. And, you know, we're retiring. So, you know, it's important to keep that memory alive.
From the Burlington Town Common, I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford.
As an addendum to the Lawrence Andover story, a gas explosion story, Burlington responded immediately with Tower 1 and staff, as well as Chief Patterson and Chief Yetman, responded immediately on scene and were involved in investigations in the various homes as to the leaks. The Burlington Board of Selectmen has revoked a liquor license from a proposed restaurant project that never got started despite having a building permit for over half a year. On Monday, the board voted 5-0 during a show cause public hearing to revoke the liquor license from Burlington Beer Works, which had been slated to occupy the location in Crossroads Plaza at 34 Cambridge Street that previously housed Outback Steakhouse. The hearing had been a long time in the making. In December of 2017 and January of 2018, the Board of Selectmen held public hearings to consider revoking the liquor license previously granted to the business for what they said was an unnecessary delay. The project was first brought to the town in 2015, and after some changes and modifications to the plan, a building permit was issued in February of this year. On December 18, 2017, attorney Paul Sporn, representing Joseph Slazar of Slazar Brothers, the owner of Beer Works, said that once a small issue with the planning board was cleared up, and the building permit was granted, work would begin within 10 days. Though the permit was issued in February, it was never picked up from the building department and no work has been done at the site. Sporn and Slazar were both at the meeting and argued against the revocation of the license. Sporn said he and his client felt that revoking the license on the basis of a delay in action was overly punitive.
And then on the issue of revocation, I would like to suggest to you that revocation is a particularly harsh outcome, and that in my view and in Mr. Slessor's view, it is both not only improper, but it's unreasonable. And if you would like me to elaborate on that, I'd be happy to. My client has not violated any law. It's not like he has overserved a minor or engaged in anything that is violative of the Massachusetts liquor laws. There's been no abandonment of the license, despite the appearance and despite the fact that the establishment is not opened.
Slezar said a big factor for the delay and his change in view of the viability of the project was the changes underway at the plaza. Since he first proposed the project, he said Roach Brothers and Booze and Wine had both closed and Target had started a massive construction project. He said he was currently in the midst of trying to find another entity to transfer the license to and asked for more time.
To date, I get it. It's been no fun for anyone. It's been absolutely no fun for me either, and it's been very costly no fun for me. But I also have several hundred thousands of dollars invested into the license, and I would like an opportunity to move that where I see there is clearly a demand for it to be put either there or to be put somewhere else.
The board was not seemingly in the mood to allow more time and voted unanimously to revoke the license. It's unlikely that we've heard the end of this, since the value of a liquor license is in the mid $250,000 to $350,000, and it's unlikely that the applicant will let it go without a fight. For over the past 10 years, Julie Quinn and Cheryl Schaffman have been the coordinators for Burlington Relay for Life. This year they have made their decision to step down from those positions and let a new generation of coordinators lead the way. BNEWS reporter Robert Paris spoke to them about their time leading the event to fight cancer and has this report.
For 10 years, Relay for Life coordinators Julie Quinn and Cheryl Schaffman had made a difference in the Burlington community through various fundraisers and cancer walks. This year, they have made their decision to step down from those positions and let a new generation of coordinators lead the way. I asked how they became the coordinators for Relay for Life in the first place.
Actually, Cheryl's the one who asked me. I had been part of just the planning of it a little bit, and Cheryl had called me because we had worked together way back in the Fox Hill days with our kids on PTO, and she asked me to join.
Tiffany Freeman was on the committee, and I knew her from around town, from Suzanne's Dance Connection, and she knew that I was actively involved in the community, and I had just lost my mother from cancer, and so she asked me to become involved, and 10 years later, we were still involved.
With the two coordinators parting ways, they will have more time to spend with their family and friends.
Part of it is our families are changing. I have one in college. Cheryl has one finishing college. And I also think it's time for new blood to come in. Cheryl and I have been doing it for 10 years, and we're probably using the same ideas that we've been using for years and years because they've worked. So it might be time for a change and for new blood to come on in.
For all their efforts at Relay for Life, Cheryl and Julie were presented with a special citation from State Representative Ken Gordon.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be included in the Relay for Life efforts since I've been the state rep, and I know that Julie and Cheryl are not going to be continuing in their lead role. I think they'll be continuing in some role, but their efforts have been so successful, phenomenally successful. You know, $1.3 million in a town of 24,000 people, 24,000 residents. It's breathtaking, the success that they've had. So when they told me that they were not going to continue in that leadership role, I looked to see what could we do, and so we recognized them from the House of Representatives for their leadership in this area.
At the moment, Relay for Life has not declared who will be representing as the new coordinators, but they plan on making that decision fairly soon.
We don't have anyone yet. Amber Anthony, who is our ACS partner, is working. She's going to Truck Day and coming into the community to try to help out. So we're actively looking as well. We're helping out and kind of giving ideas and names and whatever we can do to facilitate that. We're more than happy to help out.
Finally, there is one thing Julie and Cheryl will miss the most from the experience.
The community, the people, seeing them on a regular basis and getting together with them. It was always fun. We called the committee our family. Everyone who took part was wonderful and committed, and just seeing them on a regular basis. We'll still see them around town, but in that capacity, I'll definitely miss the people.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely, we've met so many people in the community that we wouldn't have met if we hadn't done Relay. I always say at every Relay that we had the best committee that any fundraising organization could have. And I think I'll miss that the most, but, we'll keep in touch. And obviously, like Julie said, we're still in the community, so we'll see a lot of familiar faces. And, I'm still going to fundraise for a Relay. Julie doesn't know she's doing it with me, but she will. We're going to still do Dancing with the Stars, so we'll still be exposed, and we'll still be out there.
From Burlington High School, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Congratulations to Julie and Cheryl on a fantastic job well done. The Burlington Board of Selectmen is holding a special meeting next week on proposed project by Verizon Wireless to install small cell wireless devices on 7 telephone poles in town. According to a representative from Verizon who was at the Selectmen meeting last month and documentation Verizon has posted online, the small cells are necessary to cover gaps in wireless coverage that develop as more people and businesses use the system. The devices are placed on telephone poles, street lamps, and similar structures to boost the signal put out by traditional cell towers. Members of the Board of Selectmen, led by Selectman Jim Tigas, who studied the issue, raised some concerns about the plan. First, Tigas said that a map provided by Verizon showing coverage in Burlington seemed to show that there were no current gaps in town. He asked why, if this is the case, were the small cells necessary. A sworn affidavit by radio frequency engineer Keith Vellante of C-Squared Systems, contracted by Verizon, states that his analysis of the system in town shows area where wireless coverage needs a boost. Still, Tigas claimed the documentation provided by the company lacked specific details. Tigas also raised concerns about the locations of the proposed small cells. He said that 5 of the 7 are in a location in or near residential neighborhoods and that the devices can be an eyesore. The proposed locations are Wayside Road, Old Concord Road, Cambridge Street at the Mall Road intersection, Mall Road, 15 South Avenue, Wynn Street, and Center Street at Olympian Way. Other members of the board raised concerns about the aesthetics of the small cells and also said they were worried that while only 7 are being proposed now, that Verizon and other companies would add more in the future. In the end, the board decided that it would be prudent for the town to have a policy on these types of devices. They voted to hold a special meeting on Monday, September 17th at 6 p.m. for further discussion and to give residents and business leaders a chance to weigh in on the subject. Charles Maynard, retired Burlington Public Library children's librarian, told a story through the eyes of one young officer, in fact, her grandfather. The presentation was based on nearly 100 letters her grandfather wrote to her grandmother in the period through 1918 to 1919, First World War. A timely program as the centenary of the armistice approaches in November. BNews reporter John Villas was there and has this look.
Residents who often visit the Burlington Public Library might remember a familiar face. Charles Maynard became head of the Burlington Public Library's youth services, running several different children's reading programs, including story times for various age groups, starting in 1999 until her retirement on January 28, 2011. On Thursday, September 6th, Ms. Maynard paid a return visit for a presentation called Service of Supply, telling a story through the eyes of a young World War I officer, that being her grandfather, First Lieutenant of the Quartermaster Corps John E. Bradstreet. The presentation was based on nearly 100 letters her grandfather wrote to her grandmother during the war from 1918 through 1919.
Well, basically, I was telling the story of my grandfather's experience for a year in World War I when he was in France in the Quartermaster Corps, and he was writing letters home to my grandmother. They got married about a month after he got back.
Charles Maynard is a friend to many a Burlington resident. She said it was a pleasant surprise seeing some old friends as if she never left.
It feels absolutely wonderful. I love the people here, and I'm so happy that even some of the people that were patrons here when I was here came, and that just really touches me.
And finally, the former librarian wants to keep alive an important period of time in our world's history through the eyes of her grandfather. From his departure to Europe until his return, we see his patriotism, his off-duty activities, and his curiosity as he travels around France and England on military leave, along with his frustrations, transportation issues, and the impact of the great influenza epidemic.
1918 flu pandemic. I guess I like the idea that people remember the past, and we're not always going forward. I guess we are. But I think it's really important to remember the past and the experiences that people had, but also situations, circumstances that have led us to problems and continue to lead us to problems.
Thank you for your service, Lieutenant Bradstreet. Your story will never be forgotten. From the Burlington Public Library, I'm John Villas for BNEWS Weekly.
18 to December 1920. It infected 500 million people.
We go now to BNews weatherman Peter Brown in our Weather Center for a look at the week ahead. We'll also check out the community calendar with Maddie Shipka to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, and this is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the upcoming 7 days. Now here we are in the middle of September. We are just about at the very tail end of summer, but it is going to feel anything but like fall, that's for sure. Now as we go ahead starting our period out on Friday, look at this. We're going to see absolutely beautiful conditions, definitely better than what our friends down in the Carolinas are seeing. We're going to see temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, nice dry air. The humidity is going to be completely gone out of our area. And that's definitely going to be evidenced by, look at these temperatures. If you're going to be out and about in the Burlington area late Friday night going into Saturday morning, we're looking at temperatures that are going to maybe be getting down to the low 40s again. So a little bit of a chilly evening, but beautiful warm days. And of course, as we round out our period getting into this, look at this, September 20th already. We really are getting to the very start of fall. And our average temperatures, though, still very nice in the low 70s, and we're actually going to be much above that. And of course, one thing to note that we are definitely getting to fall, the days are getting much shorter. Now, as we go ahead, I'm going to show you a little bit about what's been going on out in the Atlantic Basin the past few days or so. Now, I'm sure you've been seeing on all of the news and everything how many storms we all of a sudden have in the Atlantic. We had a very quiet start to the hurricane season. July was quiet. Most of August was very quiet, but of course now we have the big name player on here, Florence, which is now affecting the Carolinas with very, very heavy rain, strong winds, and a lot of storm surge. So let's keep those people in our thoughts and prayers as we go ahead into our weekend here in New England. Although looking out the rest of the Atlantic, still pretty busy. So if you're going out on any cruises anywhere at all, heading out towards Bermuda or going across the Atlantic, going to be kind of rough out there. So this is the time of the year when we are at the peak of hurricane season, and this graphic is definitely reinforcing that. But as we go ahead, I'm going to show you our weather coming up for the next 7 days, and it's going to be anything but stormy here in the New England area, and especially here around Burlington. Now again, starting on Friday, we're going to see those beautiful conditions, temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, nice dry air, cool, crisp evening. And when we get into Saturday and Sunday, look at this. We're looking at really temperatures that we would be expecting to see in the end of July or the beginning of August. Temperatures, again, up into the lower 80s. We're going to be introducing a little bit more in terms of humidity once we start getting in towards Sunday into the Monday time frame when you're heading back to work. And now on Tuesday and Wednesday, this may be when we start to see the remnants of Florence left over as it comes up the Appalachian Mountains. We may get some spotty showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms. That's going to, of course, bring our temperatures down a little bit, but still pretty warm for this time of the year in the mid and upper 70s, and a little bit of humidity in the air coming up with that decaying tropical storm at that time. And of course, though, as we're rounding out our period on Thursday, look at this. Return to partly sunny skies and temperatures again in the mid 70s. So folks, get out there, enjoy this last gasp of summer, and have a great week.
I'm Maddie Shipka, and this is your Community Calendar. I've got the blues. On Thursday, September 20th at 7 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a special presentation called Jazz and the Blues with Paul Speidel. Come and learn about the history of American jazz and blues music with commentary and a live performance. Everyone is welcome and the event is free. For more information, visit burlington.org or call 781-270-1690. Get off the couch and get some exercise. On Saturday, September 22nd, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department will be having their first annual Fitness Festival on the Town Common. Come and explore a full day of workouts and gym displays. Everyone is welcome and the event is free. For more information, visit burlingtonrecreation.org or call 781-270-1695. Come and donate your blood for people in need. On Saturday, September 22nd, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., the Burlington Hockey and Skating Association will be having a blood drive in Burlington on 36 Ray Avenue. The blood drive will be sponsored by the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and the Brigham and Women's Hospital Blood Mobile. Everyone is welcome. Appointments are recommended. For more information, email blooddonor@partners.org. I'm Maddie Shipka, and this has been your Community Calendar.
The fall sports season is now underway. For a look at the early action, we go to BNEWS sports reporter Matt DiMarzio for this week's sports report.
Hey everyone, this is Matt DiMarzio here for your weekly sports report. Last Friday, the Burlington Red Devil football team held their first 2018 home opener against the Bedford Buccaneers. We have some highlights. Let's check them out.
Last Friday night, the Burlington Red Devils kicked off their 2018 season against the Bedford Buccaneers at home, in which the Red Devils were searching for their first season opening victory since 2014. The Red Devils had a fantastic start in the first quarter, with Jake Doherty, the electrifying return man, swarming through the Buccaneers' special teams, taking it all the way to the end zone for a Devils touchdown. The Devils would later try to add on to their lead with a 7-yard play-action pass from Kyle Pena, who found Jake McCauley in the front of the end zone, making the score 14-0. Over to the Buccaneers, it was junior quarterback Peter Campanides using his legs and finding a way to reach the end zone, making it 6-14. And then with a bit of trickery, lined up as the kicker, Campanides found Tyler DeSalt for the 2-point conversion, making the score 14-8 in favor of the Devils. In the third quarter, with plenty of running room, Doherty walked his way into the end zone, making the score 20-8 in favor of Burlington. The Red Devils would find themselves in the red zone once again, with Doherty lowering the shoulder and leading the charge for another Burlington touchdown, pushing the lead up to 27-8. Later in the third, Peter Campanides found his receiver Brendan Jones on a screen pass and couldn't be taken down until arriving in the end zone for a Bedford touchdown, 35-14. The Bucs defense couldn't find a way to stop Doherty as he cruised into the end zone, once again giving the Devils 6, and shortly after a successful 2-point conversion attempt, the lead would be 35-14 Burlington. And with minutes left in the quarter, streaking receiver Brendan Jones found himself uncovered, beating Jake Doherty 65 yards downfield for the touchdown, forcing the score to 20-35 in favor of the Devils. Now in the final quarter on 4th and long, Peter Campanides finds his receiver Brendan Jones once again downfield for another touchdown, making the score 26-35. Later on, Campanides turns the corner and finds the end zone, cutting the Devils' lead to just 2 points. However, the Devils' ground game would not be silenced, as senior standout Jake Doherty took exception to the Buccaneers' front and pounded it in for his 5th all-purpose touchdown of the game. And after the bad snap, Pena found Jake McCauley for the 2-yard reception on the 2-point conversion, giving the Devils a 43-33 lead. Despite a late Buccaneers surge, the Devils would walk away with a 43-33 win at home in front of a sold-out crowd, led by Jake Doherty and his 5 total touchdowns. We had a chance to speak with Coach Dan McKay after the game about his team's victory over Bedford.
We spent a lot of time Monday through Thursday getting ready to go against their defense and their offense. I thought offensively we did a good job of executing. I thought our offensive line did a phenomenal job of blocking for Jake Doherty tonight. I mean, the holes were very big, and we got a good push all night. Defensively, we got a lot to shore up. Penalties, a lot to shore up there. But overall, it's great to start the season with a victory.
Later this week, the Burlington Red Devils will be facing off with the Woburn Tanners in Woburn in the Battle of Wynn Street at 7 p.m.
According to the Boston Herald, Red Devils senior running back Jake Doherty's 425 yards against Bedford is the 4th most in Massachusetts history for a single game. Congrats, Jake. The Red Devils will travel to Woburn this Friday night for the Battle of Wynn Street Supremacy against the Tanners at 7 o'clock. In other Red Devil news, the girls' varsity soccer team unfortunately lost at home 6-0 against the Winchester Sachems. The Lady Devils will try to bounce back on the road again on Saturday at Wakefield Memorial at 6 o'clock. The girls' varsity field hockey also played the Sachems with a final score of 6-0 Winchester. They're standing in the division stands at 1-1. The girls will play again on Friday at home on varsity field against Wakefield. Let's spike things up a little bit with some volleyball. The Lady Devils lost at home against Winchester with a final score being 3-1. The girls' record is currently 0-3. They look to make a comeback this Friday at home against Wakefield at 5:30 p.m. The boys' varsity golf team is currently holding a 2-1 record in their division. Sadly, they recently lost against the Reading Rockets with a final score of 45-27. They look to redeem themselves at home on Friday against Wakefield Memorial at 3:30 p.m. The Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame Committee is proud to announce 2018 Hall of Fame inductees. They include Jason Clifford, class of 1992, Adam Jenkins, class of 2001, Lisa Marchese Eargott, class of 1989, Glenn McGowan, class of 1981, Gregory Nelson, class of 2007, Jennifer Pondelli Scarpelli, class of 1999, Bradley Schuler, class of 1971, Coach Edward Murray, the 2006 varsity football team. Benefactors Anthony DeSimone and Anthony Cedrone. The Hall of Fame banquet will be held on Thursday, October 4th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Cafe Escadrille in Burlington. Tickets are $50 per person and may be purchased at the athletic office. And that is all for your weekly sports report. I'm Matt DiMarzio, and we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Matt, one more sports story. The BHS field hockey team is in full swing as the Lady Devils conquered their first win of the season, or they garnered their first win of the season, at home against Woburn with a final score of 2-0. During the game, 2 of the offensive corners scored both of the goals, which led to an effective game plan for the rest of the match. Coach Ruth McCall said that was their most effective play on offense, and for the team, that was a positive. During Woburn's possession, the Devils' defense was not as energetic as the offense, but still maintained a rhythm against their opponents. The girls have had a winding start to this season and numerous weather-related cancellations. The team had to rework their practice schedule on and off the field. This has made things a bit tricky and required the team to work hard to get up to speed. There are many returning players on the roster this season, including senior captains Carly Budakian and Morgan Butcher, who bring their enthusiastic energy to their players while on the field. Budakian said one big goal of the captains is to take their cheery energy and spread it to the other team members. Finally, Coach McCall said she is focusing on improving the team's record from last season and developing the team's strengths and reversing the team's weaknesses. Another week, another photo to highlight. This week we have a photo of one of Boston Red Sox cutest fans. It was sent in by Denise Hache and show her puppy Benny wearing a Red Sox shirt in honor of the team reaching 100 wins in a season for the first time since 1946. Benny is named after Red Sox outfielder Andrew Benintendi. So good boy Benny, and go Sox. Thanks for the photo, Denise. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of something you see around town, the weather outside your own door, or even photos of your family members, friends, and pets, whatever you think is interesting and would like to share with us and the community. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Okay, and that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with Rich Hosford, Robert Paris, John Vias, Peter Brown, Maddie Shipka, and Matt DiMarzio. Thank you for joining us.